is Kelly Jones. I'm Alex Jones's ex-wife, and I'm here with an update on 10 things you should know about the state of my custody case with Alex Jones. Y'all will remember that way back in April of 2017, I won a jury verdict to be primary parent. 3 months later, a couple weeks ago, the judge did say finally that she was going to issue final orders. And yet I still don't have my kids back according to the jury's verdict. So here are 10 facts you need to know about what's going on in my case. I'm posting this video with high hopes that everyone watching it will share it and try to make it go viral. We'll get it to the state senators, get it to their local leaders, get it out far and wide on the internet, get it to John Oliver, get it to people in big media like Dateline or MSNBC. Tell them to have me on to talk about this. And of course, I'm posting this sort of in light of the wonderful breakdown, the hysterical breakdown that John Oliver did of Alex Jones and how he makes his money. I think what people don't realize is that Alex uses his money not only to fund his luxury lifestyle, but to litigate against me. So millions and millions of dollars have been spent and are continuing to be spent to block my child custody, including a filing just last week and something like 8 different documents or filings received within the past 30 days. So here's my update on my case. Please get this information out far and wide, and I think it's going to really shock you. Number 1, I still do not have my kids back according to the jury verdict. Number 2, the judge has said she's going to issue final orders, but her final orders do not reflect the standard for the jury's verdict for me to be primary parent. In the state of Texas, it is almost unheard of to have 50-50 given to you after you win a jury verdict. And yet that is what the judge has said. And as a matter of fact, I still have to earn that 50-50 with my son, which is how Alex is continuing to block custody. And that's another issue. And that's also point 3, the fact that it's not a clear-cut ruling, that I've waited 3 months, that those 3 months have cost me tens and tens of thousands of dollars, that the judge knew that I needed fees before I went into the hearing because I asked for attorney's fees, interim attorney's fees, before I went into the trial, the jury trial. And then after the jury trial, she's well aware of the fact that I have in debt something like $400,000, $500,000 to my attorneys, and yet she's ordered no attorney's fees for me. She's ordered no child support for me, and she's ordered me to pay Alex's attorney's fees. I mean, Alex just went on a vacation that probably cost him more than his attorney's fees. And his attorney's fees are for these corrupt experts that we have shown in the trial, and I will put on the internet. One of them admitted to receiving kickbacks and basically they refer to each other, has multiple complaints against them with the Texas State Board of Examiners of Psychologists, required a $40,000 retainer, and said she didn't want me to get my kids back because then she wouldn't make any money. So these are the people that I get to pay for. I get no fees from Alex, and I'm hoping that you all will spread this video far and wide because I need fees. I need to come out of the hole and be able to support my future life and to take care of my kids. I need to be in a stronger position against a man who continues to litigate against me. I don't want to be forced to go pro se or to have to represent myself against $700 an hour attorneys, but I will do that if he continues to litigate. And let me tell you folks that there is really no end in sight unless people get active about this and upset about it. It's not a personal issue. This is not an issue about, little things I want to say to bring to the public about my kids. It is an issue of national significance because it shows how disproportionately treated people are who have great wealth compared to those who don't. So as a little background to my case, Alex, and I believe, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. And Alex, if you have a problem with this because you're monitoring all my videos, then go ahead and tell me and I will retract it. But I will say that Alex and his family committed gross fraud against me, which is against the law, and formed businesses behind my back during our marriage just prior to divorce, which I believe Alex was very much planning for, although I did file. And that they reworked all the money back into these businesses and into our main business, reworked in all of our main cash and capital that was liquid. So what happened was my business was valued to my exclusion. I received a I received a 10% split on our business. He got 90%. I got 10% of the value. I didn't get a cash payout in its entirety because he said he couldn't afford to pay me outright. And yet, since the verdict, since that rendition on that bifurcated case, which is, by the way, very interesting how that happened, and another story for another day, that Alex said he couldn't pay me outright. So I have a note with payments coming in where all his followers believe that I'm receiving some sort of alimony or child support. No, I do not. I don't even have a lump sum that I can use to protect myself or to invest. The lump sum that I did receive, which was significant, millions of dollars, I've spent on this case to the point that now I'm basically financially destitute. But since the verdict, Alex has bought 3 condos, a luxury home. He kept a lake home. His parents have built a multi-million-dollar home. He's bought luxury cars for people. He even bought the same car that I have that I got myself a nice car, actually leased it. He bought it for his cousin's wife as a little present. He has bought, countless Rolexes, countless diamonds and gems. So this is what he's spending his money on while he can't afford to pay me outright. And I believe those businesses were formed fraudulently to my exclusion. Our joint attorney at the time, Eric Taub, and Eric Taub, if you have a problem with me saying this, I'm sure you'll see it, come forward and speak, because I have in writing where I told you I didn't want to form the snake oil businesses. I didn't believe that it was the way that InfoWars should make money. And yet, despite all that, behind my back, these businesses were formed. And so there's something very wrong there. And the whole financial trial is another issue. I will say if there's any attorney out there of any high standing that wants to look into the financial trial, I will say that I believe that serious fraud happened. In fact, I found undisclosed assets, unpartitioned assets since the verdict. So that's another issue for another day. But back to my list. Point 3 is that the judge's final orders reflect this concept of 50-50 as if I had agreed to it, which was another point I wanted to bring up, because Alex, in his press conference, whatever it was, defamation exercise, indicated that I had originally agreed to 50-50. Well, I will read at one point onto a video what I said on the record about how I was being coerced into this agreement because the guardian ad litem had systematically ignored serious medical neglect, including untreated broken bones, physical bruises, that my child had made an outcry about indecent exposure, skinny dipping, et cetera, and that even though basically what I said on the record, I was terrified. I was at that point I had zero possession of my children. This woman, this guardian ad litem, was so hostile and so cruel, and so I accepted this sort of work up to 50-50, and then this was prolonged for years. So I've had less time with my kids than drug addicts and felons, etc. And speaking of felons, I know the FBI is investigating Alex for espionage ties. I would say investigate him, please, also for blocking child custody, which is a felony, and for fraud. So next point is point 4. Alex is blocking my ability to earn up to this 50-50 that the judge has sort of ephemerally, again, kind of created a very vague and sort of, drawn out order that I get to pick therapists for reunification. I can't call it alienation. Oh, I can't say alienation. So she's protecting him from being cast as an alienator, which I just don't get. I don't get it. But so basically, Alex filed last week saying that my therapist suggestions were not okay with him. But it's funny because these are the same therapists that were used as supervisors in my case that were put in place by the court-ordered expert. So I just don't know how he can do that. But he's doing it, and I have to defend it. So that's more money. Number 5, Alex is using his InfoShop money bomb dollars to fund filings to block my child custody. He's spent millions of dollars fighting to keep me away from my children. This is a man who cries and moans about CPS and talks about injustice in the state and federal court. And yet he's embraced every corrupt aspect of court, and he knows he has. And I say this because I can, because if I couldn't, he would come after me with the filing. And if you file anything against me, Alex Jones, I will talk about it all over the internet, because what I'm saying is true and it's evident. Number 6, Alex is not only blocking my child custody, but folks, the First Amendment at its best. Mr. Alex Jones, Mr. Constitutional Founding Fathers, he is using his filings to block my free speech. The filing last week was based on the fact that I had filed an article about parental alienation on my Split City Facebook page, and I talked about how the judge said I couldn't say Alex was an alienator. I didn't say Alex was an alienator, and I posted an article that I thought was important for people to read. And if you saw my earlier video from North Carolina, I'm just done being scared of Alex Jones. I mean, I am done with that. So your money bond dollars, every time you buy DNA Force, whatever, it's going to fund a luxury lifestyle, ongoing litigation to block child custody, but it's going to fund the things that Alex says he's against the most, which is blocking free speech and constitutional rights. You need to know this, and this video needs to go far and wide, and it's true. Number 7, part of the judge's ruling was that I can't say Alex is a parental alienator, that he's an alienating person. My whole case was based on that. I won a primary parent verdict off of that, but I'm not allowed to say that, according to the judge. And yet, Alex is allowed to say anything that he wants. And it is America, and I do believe in the Constitution. So when he goes on his show and engages in racist, homophobic, sexist, paranoid, extreme sort of like satanic paranoia rants, I mean, he has the right to do so on InfoWars, but people have the right to talk about it as well. And so if he has the right to do that, which our Constitution gives us, and I do believe in the Constitution, then I should have the right to talk about whatever the hell I want. It's a civil, and it's a civil liberties issue. And I believe that, and this is point 8, rather, you know, how do you survive a horrible trial? You know, how do you get through watching your kids losing a relationship with you, being blocked from seeing you, being told horrible things about you, seeing you in a horrible light that you know is not true? How do you deal with that and with their broken hearts and seeing them distressed and neglected and in a horrible state? Well, you deal with it. I dealt with it through faith. I believe in God. I believe that God gave me this trial for a reason. I believe that people don't go through horrible things for no reason. I'm here for a reason. I divorced a powerful, prominent person, and parental alienation, which is a systematic manipulation using manifested behaviors, specific tactics that is provable, demonstratable, quantifiable, is a national tragedy. It's child abuse. It's severe emotional child abuse. And if you look at my videos and see how people have responded, you will see that this happens all across America, and the court can stop it, and we can stop it. And I'm joining with people across the country to affect change. I'm trying to raise awareness to affect change on a local and national level. I will lobby. I will tell my story. I will get people outraged that this can happen. It's a tragic horror for many, many children and good families across the country, and it needs to be talked about. Number 9, I'm certainly not here to disparage Alex. Like, I'm not an alienator. I'm not here to talk horribly about him or say terrible things about him. And I will say, there was one point, you know, when this was getting kind of hot and heavy around the Megyn Kelly time, that I had a publicist say, oh, you need to give all the dirt and this and that. Well, I've never done that. I mean, the things I know about Alex are unbelievable. And the things that came out in court are unbelievable. But I'm not here to disparage him as a person. Alex is a sick, disturbed, unhappy, narcissistic person, surrounded by people who have glommed onto him for money, who really don't care about him, and who are trying to keep children from their parents for money, which is so sad, okay? So I'm not here to disparage him. But I'm called to talk out again about parental alienation and to show my case not only about parental alienation, about what happens in the court system, how somebody with disproportionate money can obliterate another parent. It shouldn't be that way. It should. What happened in my case should never have happened. It's absurd, and it's a tragedy that people should and will know about. Number 10, and this is a key important fact. So the judge in my case, Judge Orlinda Naranjo, wouldn't allow, she said, I don't want this to be about InfoWars. And she wouldn't allow footage to come before the jury, including footage that had my children in it, footage where Alex is threatening to, I think, beat up or kill a standing congressperson, footage where he's talking about saying that J-Lo, if she thinks Somalia is so good, she'd go get gang raped there. Footage of him in a drunken, absolutely wasted tirade, berating a woman, calling her cupcake, engaging in just these incredibly common, pervasive attitude towards women that Alex has, very sexist attitude. So none of that came before the jury. And yet I won a verdict for primary parent. The judge protected him from having that come in. So I'm making this video. It's an update about my case. Thank you all so much for caring about it. Man, I need some help. You know, editors out there, anybody who wants to put this together in a better format, please help me. Please do it. Please get it out to big media. Tell local, national media to have me on. This is an issue of great importance. I'm going to be asking again that the judge reconsider my attorney fees. I don't want to be destitute because I divorced Alex Jones. I want to have a financial future for my family. And I want to have funds to fund the business that I'm creating, Split City, splitcity.com and Split City Online, a software suite to empower clients in high conflict divorce. And I'm hoping the judge said she would reconsider child support. I mean, child support in Texas is a couple $1,000s. To Alex, it's like a dinner. I mean, I think he could give me a little child support there. So please let people know what's going on in my case. Please help people understand that while it is pretty hysterical that people fork over all this money for all these products that Alex is hawking, you know, and Dr. Group is really hysterical. And I mean, John Oliver's piece was excellent and I did really enjoy it. It's really not funny that he makes millions of dollars and then he's using it to litigate continually, incessantly against me to block child custody. So I'm Kelly Jones. I'm Alex Jones's ex-wife. I was married to him for 12 years. I was with him for 15. I've been in a litigatory process with him for about 3.5 years. And I need your help, and I'm sorry for my past involvement with InfoWars and ashamed to have been a part of that. Kelly Jones, splitcity.com.